Hi. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the surface area of a 3D object, specifically the cuboid. So the surface area is the total area that the surfaces of a 3D object occupies. So it's if you find the area of each of the panels that make up the 3D object and then you add them up together. So what can be difficult sometimes is trying to visualize what the 3D object would look like when it's just drawn on paper. So what I've done is I've drawn this net, which is the 2D representation of what would build up to make the 3D object. So what we can hopefully see is we've got this panel here relates to this panel here, and also the one at the back, because they are equal. And we can see that that's 4 and that's 3. And then we would have this panel being the 5 and the 3. So we've got this to be 5 and 3. So that's panel 2, which is also the same as that panel, which means that this third panel are these two. And that's 5 and that's 4. Okay, it's quite hard to visualize, but what I'm going to do is show you that to calculate the surface area is actually pretty straightforward, as long as you remember how to do every panel. So area of panel 1 is just going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. But remembering that there are 2 of them. So then we would times that by 2 to get both of them. Area of panel 2 equals 5 times 3. But remembering that there's 2 of them, so we would then times it by 2. 5 times 3 is 15, times 2 is 30. And then area of panel 3 is going to be 4 and 5. But remember that there's the top and the bottom, so we times it by 2. 4 times 5 is 20, times 2 is 40. So the total area will be 24 plus 30 plus 40, which is 94 centimeters squared. And remember, it's squared, not cubed, because even though we're dealing with a 3D object, it's the surface area, not the volume we're actually talking about this time. So I'll do 2 more examples. So let's call this panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, and we don't need to do this because we're going to remember how to do it properly. Area panel 1 will be 10 times 7. That is a 7. But remember, there's 2 of them. 10 times 7 is 70, times 2 is 140. Area panel 2 will be 7 times 8 times 2. 7 times 8 is 56, times 2 is 112. And area of panel 3 will be 10 and 8. And then 2 of them, because there's a top and the bottom. 10 times 8 is 80, times 2 is 160. So the total area will be all of these added up. So 140 plus 112 plus 160. 140 plus 160 is 300. So 412 centimeters squared. Okay, so this is a cube, and so we could do it the same way, but if you're remembering what a cube is, it is all the sides and all the panels are equal. So actually, all we need to do to get a cube as a special example is remember that if that's 5, that's 5. So area of panel 1 is 5 times 5, which is 25 centimeters squared. They're all the same, so all we need to do to get the total area is 6 times 25, which is 150 centimeters squared. If you'd done it the same way as before, you would have eventually got there. But it's just sometimes you can look at a question and think, I can actually do this quicker. So that is the surface area of a cuboid.